Oh man, I guess if you're a young, like aspiring artist now, you're starting in a kind of a different time than when I started. But one thing that's remained the same is just the art, like at the end of the day, it's you and the paintbrush or you and the spray paint or you and the marker or whatever. People have been doing art since the dawn of time. The maybe lots of things have changed, yes, since the dawn of time, but when it comes to the art itself has stayed the same. So I guess that's what I'm saying, like the universal advice that I would give that transcends whatever time frame we're talking about, it's just focus on your art. Do your art. Whatever is making you feel good, do it, and then do more of that. And when you notice more of a good feeling coming on, do more. You know what I mean? And it's like real common sense. It's real basic. If you feel good when you're sitting and you're drawing a flower, then boom, draw another flower and see if you start feeling gooder. You start feeling more good.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's your motherfucking boy, Gamero, the Pharaoh, the poor man's Robert De Niro. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, so very ecstatic to be here to bring you another, story with a champion that I am joined here today. But before I get to introducing the illustrious guest that we have today, ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Go on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, go on Spotify, follow us, go on Instagram, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Follow us so you can stay up to date with every single new guest and new artiste that we have every single week. And one more thing before we get to introducing the powerhouse that we have of a guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, I know there has been a brief absence for the first time in 2 years. We missed a week and we call that, ladies and gentlemen, appendicitis. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful. And it was a beautiful, beautiful surgery, a beautiful procedure. You know what I'm saying? My stomach looks like a damn shish kebab, but what are you gonna do? Ladies and gentlemen, to my left hand side, I'm so very honored, you know what I'm saying, to be able to introduce someone who has devoted themselves to their craft, ladies and gentlemen, day in and day out. Ladies and gentlemen, every single day that I'm on, social media, I see this man posting up works, works of art. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor to be able to introduce artist powerhouse, Rendawriter! My brother, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
All right.
Now.
Okay, there you go. You know what I'm saying? The introduction for mammoths in the industry. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I congratulate you on your shirt. Is that not an original piece?
Yes, yeah.
Oh man, you got some names. Oh man, I didn't even notice we were blasting J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? We were doing a little hip hop in here, and you came correct.
Yes,
my brother. First of all, talk to us a little bit about about the inspiration. I see some powerhouse names. I see some phenomenal names on there. Talk to me about inspiration. How did it all start?
How did what all start?
Man, the artistry. How, what happened? What consumed your inside, your soul to one day have to be like, hey, I got to put pen to paper or marker to paper. I got to, create art. How did the planets align? How did that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's been like several different starts, but so it depends on how far back we go. But if we go kind of all the way back.
Oh, bro, you can be a damn fetus, bro. You can go all the way back. You know what I'm saying?
It started as a kid when I was 8 or 9 years old listening to hip hop.
Wow.
Growing up on hip hop, I was growing up on words. I was growing up on intelligent word play. I was growing up on poetry put to music. I was growing up on the best stuff of the 80s and 90s hip hop. So that's like one of the earliest versions of a start for me as an artist. So I wasn't making art back then, but I'm saying if we go back far enough, that's where the seed was planted. That's where I began to appreciate words and word play and word usage and the meaning of words and the power of words and just how they're used and literary techniques, and just the way we speak.
Right.
So from there is where the seed was planted, but like the start of this being a career, of this being like my job, that started like around, I would say around 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before you continue, when you were talking about the lyrical prowess of the 80s and the 90s, would you say that you found yourself really paying more attention to an artist's lyrical abilities than the production value?
Well, I mean, no, I wouldn't say that, because it was really like I was paying attention to them equally. Like I try to not view a lot of things as like this or that, or like, which is what, you know what I mean? Because everything plays a role. So if I like a certain song from the 80s or 90s, chances are I'll like it mainly because of the lyrical content, but that doesn't mean I like dismiss the beat.
Right.
The beat's gotta be catchy too. The beat's gotta work. The beat's gotta complement the lyrics. But a good song just kind of has both, and that's what makes it so good.
Oh, yeah. So talk to us about 2013.
Well, 2013, so I mean, in 2000 was when I started writing poetry, writing and recording and performing poetry.
How would you best describe your poetry?
Hip hop influenced slam poetry, spoken word poetry. So it was 2000 when I started doing that. It was 2000 when I graduated college. It was 2000 when I moved back to New York. It was 2000 when I took a job working on the streets and got really immersed in like New York energy, which is an inspiring energy.
Oh, yeah.
So you add that to my
repertoire.
Yeah, or repertoire of influences, because that's, kind of what you're asking about, our inspirations. So it's like hip hop and then just New York, period. The energy of New York.
New York will inspire anyone, man. That kind of like that grind mentality, that 24/7, keep trucking, keep trucking. I lived in New York myself, man, and there's nothing like it. Yeah. That energy.
Yeah, that's, it matches my energy. Mine is like that, or it taps into a part of my energy that very much identifies with that pace and that realness and that movement and that grit and all that. But so 2000 was kind of, I know you asked about 2013, but as a precursor to 2013, I'm telling you what's happening in 2000. I graduated college, I moved back to New York. I'm now 21, 22 years old.
If you don't mind me asking, what'd you go to college for?
What did I go for? I went for the obligation. I went for the experience. You asking what did I major in?
There you
that's
go.
A different question. But no, yeah, I just always have fun playing with that kind of question.
Right.
But no, literally, I went for, I don't know what I went for.
Right.
I went because I could.
Hell
Because I did well in high school. Most of my friends were all going to college, or all of them. It was like the thing to do. I could afford it. My parents had done the prepaid college thing, so they've been paying for it little by little since I was young.
Nice.
I also got some scholarships. So with all that lined up, it's like, what do you just go to college? That's what you do,
Gotta go.
But what I majored in was finance.
Okay.
So, but for no reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Stark contrast right there.
Yeah. Now I'm an artist, and but yeah, I just majored in finance. Like that was the major I picked. I went to the University of Florida. There's like 50,000 kids.
God.
You don't get like a lot of one-on-one guidance, and you're a kid.
Right.
So you don't really know what you're doing. Not that I have any regrets. Everything worked out perfect.
Hell yeah.
I love my life and the way it evolved. But in retrospect, truth is, I didn't know what the hell I was doing back then, and there was no rationale or reason behind me picking finance as a major.
Would you say that you picking finance as a major helped you in any way, as far as maybe helping you price your art, or maybe or the business side of being an artist?
No.
Nah, not at all.
Every financial instinct I have is just that. It's an instinct. It's who I just am. Like I could have not even gone to college. I could have dropped out of high school. My most accurate, insights on like the financial side of what I'm doing with my art just comes more from life, not anything that I learned in school. Although there is one thing I learned about supply and demand,
Okay.
but that's what I'm saying. Now in the information age, supply and demand is a pretty valuable thing to know and understand as a self-employed business person, as an artist, and just as a person, it's good to understand supply and demand. But now in the information age, you don't need to go to a 4-year institution away from your hometown and spend all this money and do all this stuff to learn about supply and demand. You just go on YouTube and type in supply and demand, and you watch a 4-minute video.
Straight
and
up.
there you go. You understand the concept of supply and demand.
Right.
And that goes for any concept that you want to learn and understand and apply to your art or whatever. So, but yeah, so I graduated college in 2000, which was really before the birth of the super information age that we're in now.
Okay.
So it was kind of a different time. Not to sound old or anything, but yeah, but so yeah, then 2000 was the year I really got into poetry, and so I was taking like my youth, my growing up listening to hip hop and being influenced by hip hop and kind of applying it. Now I was becoming a poet, and I was becoming this poet that was kind of like hip hop adjacent, I would say. You know what I mean?
We're talking spoken word type?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So spoken word, rhyming heavily, sounding almost like a rapper, but a different cadence,
Yeah.
a poetic delivery and a different setting, a coffee shop or an open mic,
Hell yeah.
So that was very much my life, big time, from 2000 all the way up to 2013 and all the way up to the present, but to a small extent. So that's what I'm saying is I never really stopped doing poetry or quit. I just took my love for words into the visual realm around 2012, 2013, but I'm still a poet,
Hell yeah.
That's not like something I stopped being or, there's no ending date on that. I'm a poet. That's who I am.
Through and through.
And then I added art to my identity. And so it's kind of like, what kind of artist am I? I'm a visual artist informed by my poetry, incorporating my poetry, utilizing my poetry, my poetic background, and just my love for words. Because even one word could be a poem, the word love, I use it a lot. That's a lot of people know me from that and that alone. Oh, you're the guy that does the murals that say love, right? And I am, but I also do a lot of other words.
Does that irk you?
No, not really. Why? Do you get the sense I'm irked?
No. If someone, I'm saying, if someone only knows you for that.
Well, that's just part of like life, and that's part of especially like life nowadays and the social media age and everything. Where you are presented as a certain way on an app or on a platform, and then everyone goes through that, whether you're an artist or not, whether you're famous or not, or whatever. There's always that now that's like our part of our reality. We've got this thing, we got this like avatar version of ourselves, and then we've got us, the real person living in the body that walks around, that sometimes runs into the people that follow us on these platforms. And so people will see you on a platform and see you only in a certain way, and there's always going to be more to you than that. But no one should be irked by that. That should be cool. That should be like, okay, well, so if you like what you see so far, then let me show you more.
Hell yeah.
Let me show you the full, I do write love. I write love a lot. I do a lot of murals that say love, and if you look at my Instagram, you'll see a lot of pictures of those murals. Now, if you scroll back even more, you'll see other stuff. Or if you, investigate me further, or if you go to YouTube, you'll see videos of me performing my poems, So you'll see there's a lot more than just love. But there's nothing wrong with having like one thing that is a distinguishable,
right.
identifying mark, that people know. So yeah, I'm just grateful for everything, bro.
Hell yeah, man. And it's funny. It sounds very metaverse. You know what I'm saying? The way that, and it kind of is. You know what I'm saying? The way you have an avatar that people that they know you for, and then when they see you in person, they kind of expect something, and maybe it wasn't there. Maybe I'm not hosting a podcast when you see me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's funny the way that works. But kind of on another note, how will you best describe? Talk to us about the open mic scene down here in Florida.
I don't know it anymore.
Right.
I mean, well, a while ago, that was very much my bag. That was what I was all about. But now I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist. So my world is all about doing murals, traveling, doing canvas art, promoting myself on social media platforms, looking for opportunities, getting involved in group shows, setting up solo shows, just doing stuff from my visual art career. But I can tell you that the open mic scene in South Florida was at the foundation of me and my early poet incarnation, which led to me as the artist I am today. So yeah, there was a time where I was all about this open mic life. And when I hosted them, I was, in walking you back in my past a little, I was saying, I graduated college, then I lived in New York, worked on the streets, did all sorts of stuff, got into poetry there up in New York, but then came back to Florida and was in like the Boca Raton area and Palm Beach and Broward County. And I started hosting open mics as well as performing my own poetry at them.
Wow.
So that's how I kind of made it a career. It wasn't exactly easy to like make money as a poet and, enough to like pay your bills. But as a host and producer of open mic events, you kind of could,
Right.
you could make enough to pay your bills and, live modest.
Right.
So I did, so I did that for years, for, I don't know, 6-7 years and did a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a whole, I could ramble on and on about all that, but that's very like in the past,
Yeah.
But it's important because it formed the foundation of what I am today. And, after like running through that, after like over a decade of fully indulging my passion for writing and performing poetry and networking and being involved in a certain scene and being involved in open mics and knowing what's going on everywhere, being the go-to guy that people ask, hey, my friend's a comedian, he's coming down from New York, he's looking for a place to perform, and everybody said I should call you. Like that was my life for a while. And especially that was before like everyone's getting all their info off Facebook and Instagram, so you kind of had to know people.
Right.
You had to know an actual human that knew a lot of things.
You had a scrap of paper with a phone number.
And it was a lot of like people would say, call Renda, you know what I mean? And then people would call me, such and such told me to call you, so I heard you're the guy that has the info on all the open mics and stuff, So that's what I did for years. But yeah, so 2013, you were asking, so how'd I get into visual art? Well, I indulged that passion for performing and for being in a scene and for doing the open mics and for the joy of feeling like all self-employed about it too, like just doing what I love. Like that was good. But then I don't know, it ran its course, but at the same time, I started to I was hanging out with more visual artists. I was coming down to Miami more, and I was going to Wynwood. I'm talking like '09 and 2010 and 11 and all that. I was like marinating on what I was absorbing. And Wynwood was a different world back then.
Oh yeah, man.
You didn't have to pay to park at all. There was no such thing as paid parking anywhere in Wynwood. Every street was two ways. There was none of that one way weird stuff.
The golden era of Wynwood.
Yeah, there was it was just, anyways. I won't lament the old Wynwood on this podcast, because truth is, I love the evolution of Wynwood. I'd rather love it than hate it. It is what it is. Just like a human grows up. I've met a lot of cute babies, but they don't stay that way. So anyways, but so yeah, between 2010 and like 13 and 14 is when I started to see that my love for words could be reflected somehow visually. And it's when I started to really pay attention more to my handwriting and to the notebooks that I was writing in, like looking at the physical notebooks as like, this is something, not just like these words that I write and memorize and say on stage or say in a booth, because I put out CDs. It's like this, look, the look of it, the way it looks, the way it's written in the book itself, the spirals, all that. Also around that time, I got really influenced by Kurt Cobain and Tupac, because Kurt Cobain had this book called the Cobain Journals.
Okay.
Came out after he died, but it was basically just color photocopies from his personal journals.
Wow.
So you saw his lyrics as well as just all kinds of stuff, like little reminder notes he wrote, like take out the trash, just weird things like that. Like his mind reflected on paper, and that book really, I don't know, did something to me. You know what I mean? And at the same time, there was also this book called, I guess it was The Rose That Grew from Concrete. And it was the Tupac book. And it had like one page was his handwritten poem. And then on the opposite page would be that poem typed up. But so it was nothing but handwritten poetry by Tupac. And then the other book was nothing but handwritten, entries and whatever from Kurt Cobain's mind. And, yeah, so seeing that around that time, I just always had this sense around that time, 2010 through 13, 14, I had this sense that my whole, job and identity as a poet was starting to morph into the visual, and I was loosely getting tips on how that transition was going to fully take place. And it finally, I finally fully transitioned into the visual realm like fully by like the end of 2014, which is when I did my first mural. So, I had been doing visual art. I started doing visual art and started like looking at my writings as visual art as early as 2010. But around 2014, the end of 2014, during Art Basel, I did a mural in Wynwood, and that was my first mural. Now I've done almost 500.
Woo!
And that was 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. So yeah.
Wow. First of all, congratulations, my brother. Congrats.
Yeah.
Would you say that you received support from your peers who had known you for all this time as a poet, and didn't recognize you as a visual artist? Would you say that that you had support from your peers, or did you have other people telling you like, hey, I've known you, you've done poetry for X amount of years. That's kind of your identity right now. Is it a risk to make this transition?
I mean, yeah, I guess to answer your question is kind of like no. Like, did I get the support in the transition? Kind of no. I mean, I don't want to sound like negative or whatever. I say that and I'll explain it, but it's like the bottom line is that you don't really need support from anyone if you believe in yourself. You know what I mean? So I just want to declare that first. Like, support from others is nice. It's always nice. And I've gotten a lot of support from many people in all the different things I've done. When I'm hosting events, doing poetry, doing visual art, doing murals, whatever, man. People do support me, and I'm super grateful for that. But, the cast of characters in your life might change, and depending on what you do. So you might have people that support certain endeavors and don't support other endeavors, or they supported you for a time because whatever form of support they showed you, it was more convenient to do so during that period in their life. And then something in their life changed. And now they can't be as present for you and for your career or whatever you're doing, whether it's poetry or art or whatever. So I guess, I'm just saying, lots of people have supported me and lots of people have not supported me. Yeah. And the people that have supported me has changed over time, and all of that is natural. All of that is natural. All of that is cool. And at the end of the day, I just support myself.
Hell yeah,
that's what it is.
And that's what it is.
Self-supporting.
Self-supporting. I love it.
Artist.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Renda, how would you say that from when you first started, or you made the transition? It was fully apparent in 2014 with your first mural. Yeah. How do you say that your work has changed from then to now?
How has it changed? I mean, it's changed in some ways, but in some ways it's also stayed the same, and that's important too. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my mentality. It has evolved, and it's supposed to, just like we are supposed to evolve. So I kind of like prefer evolve over change. Change almost implies that you're doing something like radically different, how you went from this to that. But really all I ever did was evolve, which means I went from this to like this next thing to this next thing to this next thing. You know what I mean? Instead of like this to that. So I've evolved with my art, and I've focused in on what works. The first mural that I did said, "Love is a risk, do it anyway." Over and over and over and over. I wrote that phrase literally about 500,000 times.
Wow.
Literally.
Oh my
Because I wrote
God.
very small. The phrase itself was like this big, like 3 inches long, and it was on a 40-foot by 40-foot wall.
Talk to us about time. How long does that?
It took about 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
Like I started in October of 2014, and I finished like during Basel of 2014. So it's like I worked a little bit, half of October, all of November hard. And then that first week of December, and I I knew what I was doing as I got a sense for it. I didn't know what I was doing to begin with, but that's the point, right? Sometimes you got to just jump in. But as I proceeded with the mural, I realized what I was doing. And I understood the timing of it. I understood the magnitude of it. I understood what it was going to do for me personally, professionally, etc. And I also got a sense on how to pace myself. And I figured out like how to finish it like during Basel, you know? And so I did, and it was great. So that was kind of like my real launch into the art world. Even though like I said, I had been doing visual art for a few years before that. I had done a solo art show in Boynton Beach before that. I had done a solo art show in Wynwood before that. But when I did that mural, that's what made me a mural artist. Did
you ever feel during that process like you had underestimated that project?
Oh, yeah. I underestimate a lot of things, man. I'm wrong all the time. That's humility. That's growth. That's you know, that's truth. That's facts, you know? Yeah. But I underestimate things. I overestimate things. I make mistakes. I get things wrong. I really thought that mural would take me like a few days. I remember I was borrowing a friend's ladder, and like his mom had passed away. So I was like, okay, he doesn't need his ladder back, you know, like, so he's not going to be working because his mom just passed away. So, you know, I could give him the ladder back in like a week. That's cool. I got like a week, you know, but it took me like 6 weeks, you know?
Oh my
So yeah, of course, my estimation of my early estimations of my art were very much off, but that's how you learn, you know,
of course.
It's trial and error. So now I understand the math behind what I do. I understand a little bit more of like, you know, budgeting my time, my money, my energy, paint, you know, all the different like things that go into being an artist, right? Being a mural artist, being a regular visual artist that works with canvases, being a traveling artist. My whole life is nothing but strategizing. Like, I don't live in Miami, at least not full time, you know. I live in a van and I just travel the whole US. So I love Miami. Don't get me wrong. I love Miami. I'm not like shitting on it. I love Miami. We're on a Miami themed podcast. Miami
Dude,
is,
speak your truth, my brother.
You know, but what I'm saying is my truth is that I do love Miami. Miami is my muse for sure. Like, here I am telling you about how I started as an artist. And how did I start? Because I started spending more time in Miami. That, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I said. Like, I was hosting open mics, doing all this stuff in Broward and Palm Beach. But once I started coming to Miami, once I started hanging in Wynwood, is when I got a real sense of like, wow, I'm an artist. Like, that's when I realized, man, this inkling I had for so long to take my love for words somehow visual, it started to kick in. I started to realize how to do that.
Wow.
But only once I started hanging in Miami. So that's what I'm saying. So Miami's my muse forever. I love it. But I also want to be clear that like, I'm not 305 till I die. I was not born here. I did not go to high school here. And the whole reason I travel is to better understand the idea that I'm just like a person of earth, you know? Like, it's great to have pride for your city, whether it's Miami or St. Louis or New York. That's awesome. But me personally, I like to just travel and just be like, you know, I live in the moment, man. I identify with all you people.
Hell
you
yeah.
know, like, this is great.
Did it take a while for you to get accustomed to that van life?
Yeah, because I evolved into that too. You know, like evolve is the key word here, I guess. But you know, I was not born in a van. You know, I live the van life right now. But yeah, I didn't always do it. So you know, of course, I evolved into it. It was like, you know, that's a whole story too. But I'll sum it up real quick and say that like it started as kind of necessity. It was like way back in 2010. You know, I was in a relationship, and me and my girlfriend were cohabitating. We had an apartment and we split the rent. And, you know, I was living at like the edge of my means. It was like, well, because I have a girlfriend and we're splitting the rent, that's how I can like afford this. But if anything were to happen, then I wouldn't be able to afford like life, you know? And then something did happen. We broke up, and then it was like, I don't really know where to go from here. I don't have like a lot of money, and you know, I don't, just a random roommate, like, you know, what do I do? And it just made sense to like start living out of my car. And, you know, car. This was before it was a van, you know. But so it started out of necessity, but whatever. That was 2010. You know, now here we are a good 12 years later, and I went from one car to another car to a van to another van to this van, and it was always an upgrade. It's, you know, it's you should always be upgrading, you know. And I'm not talking about just upgrade your vehicle, but you know, you should always be looking back and say, well, this is better than that was, you know.
Right.
So
Gotta make sure that it's an evolution.
Yeah, evolution. So now here I am, you know, I have like a new van. I just bought it like a month ago, and I live out of that. I sleep out of that. I travel, you know, I am in Miami a lot, especially this time of year.
Right.
You know, it's cold everywhere else. It's snowing in a lot of places. It's COVID heavy in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Miami's always been good to me, and, you know, I got opportunities to sell art around here, but I'm also excited. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Memphis soon. I'm doing solo shows in both New York and Memphis.
Wow.
So, yeah. Wow. And then a mural in Memphis. But Yeah,
Hell
I keep it moving, man.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
100%.
Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have three. I said 3 segments, and the first one is actually called Mail Time. You know what I'm saying? I took that from Blue's Clues. And every single week, we put on our social media a question. You know what I'm saying? You can send in questions for our guests the day of, if not the day before that they come in, and we'll read your questions on the air. You know what I'm saying? And here we go. Renda.
Yeah.
How do you push through having to do a commission when you aren't inspired?
I don't know. I mean, I usually am inspired. I mean, I guess there are, maybe small chunks of time where, if I have a commission to do, I should be inspired by the fact that there's a deadline and there's money involved, so that's
true.
Inspiration enough. It's
True.
I got to stick to my word. If a person says, hey, can you write me and my husband's name? How much would you charge? And what are your sizing options? And I say, okay. And I give them the options and they decide they want a 20 inch by 20 inch with their name and their husband's name, and they say, and his birthday is next week. Well, then there you go. That's the job. So I'm going to write the woman's name and her husband's name over and over on this 20 by 20 until it's done. And I'm going to make sure I get it to them in time. Wow. So yeah, sometimes I'm just inspired by if it's a commission, that kind of is inspiring. I don't really need to be super inspired by the content of it. If I'm writing Lisa and Frank, yeah, of course that doesn't inspire me, but it just inspires me to know Lisa is paying me for this. Frank is going to love this as a gift, right. You know what I mean? There's a million things to focus on that are positive that will help inspire me to move forward.
And for a commission, do the people that have required or that have asked you for the commission, that have paid you for the commission, do you normally give them full creative control as far as the color of the text, the color of the background, or do you kind of leave that up to you?
Well, I like it when they just leave it up to me, so every once in a while, someone will say yo, just do you. I wanted to say this or whatever, you just do you. This is why I'm commissioning you. So that's cool. But I ask them up front, I say, so do you have certain colors you want, whatever. I try to not turn it into a weird nitpicky conversation, where it gets too specific, because then it's not, it can reach a point where it's not inspiring when it starts to feel weird.
Right.
Oh, okay, so you're telling me you don't like the way I did the E on that? Come on,
right.
just let me breathe here.
Right.
But that's not very often. I say that jokingly. It's happened before, but it's not something I need to focus on. Oh man, that's what sucks about my job. My job is awesome, and everyone I work with is cool. For commissions. I'm batting a 99% success rate. So,
that's what I'm talking about. All right. The second question from our Mail Time segment. How long did it take you to find your particular style?
I mean, I guess it was there from the beginning because my style is rooted in my handwriting. So when I started writing, when I was 6 or 7 years old, So that was naturally, you never try to better your handwriting in any way? It was always that? Yeah, I mean, my art is just plain my handwriting. That's what it is. So, not people will ask me, and again, it's just people getting to know me, but they'll be so do you do different fonts, or do you do script, or, can you do an old English or whatever? And I'm nah, it's just my handwriting. It's just simple, that's just what it is. All my art. I mean, yes, I sometimes write really big. I sometimes write really small. Sometimes I use spray paint. Sometimes I use paint markers. There is a lot of variety. Sometimes it's this phrase, sometimes it's that phrase, sometimes it's repetition, sometimes it's more straight up poetry. There's a lot of variety in it. But as far as the look and what handwriting, what font it is, it's always my handwriting. It's always my font. It's just so that's to answer the question, it's when did I discover my style? Well, just when I started writing, which was probably, 6 or 7 years old, But through middle school and high school, I really noticed my handwriting was unique. And I remember one time in middle school, I let a kid borrow my homework so he could copy. And then he got busted. And so the teacher took away my homework and his. And then like later she gave it back to me. And when she gave it back to me, she like complimented my handwriting.
Yeah, you really do have really nice handwriting.
Thank you. So that's an old memory that I'm like, man, so that's like the real answer to your question. It goes back to like 8th grade, you know? But then it was more that era of like when I got into poetry and I was creating like, you know, I got into poetry in, like I said, 2000. So that was when people were first like starting to get websites, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And everyone, you had to get your business card, things like that mattered, you know? And so that's when I got into poetry in 2000, between 2000 and 2004-ish was when, and 2006 was when I was like exploring what is the image of Renda? What am I presenting? Yes, I do poetry, but what else is there to that? You know, what is my theme? And that's when I tapped in like, okay, it's my handwriting. So my business card was handwritten. Oh, you know, it had this handwritten vibe, you know, and my current, you know, like I got them in my pocket now. My current business card has this handwritten vibe.
Man, that's so cool.
So I've been doing that since 2005. You know, that's like 15, 16 years of doing my card and my image and my branding the exact same way. Handwriting, you know. Wow. A lot of times it's that blue ink on yellow paper vibe. But so yeah, you know, you don't really have to find your style. You don't have to like create it or find it. You just gotta like notice what's already going on in you, you know, paying attention to who you already are.
Oh, man. And then the last question from our mail time segment. Are there any commissions that you turned down? And if so, why?
No. A lot of commission-based questions, huh? Yeah, I know. I do commissions. I do it often. But, I also really like it when people just plain buy my art, like just, you know, the art, because I make art on the daily and then I post it. So if you want to, really the easiest way to become a collector of my art and to show that you support me is just buy something I made. Oh yeah. But also if you commission me, then yeah, obviously you're really, really interested. You want something special and unique and tailor-made for you. And I do that all the time. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. There's a few questions related to that. But no, I don't think I've ever really turned down a commission. I might have like accidentally flaked on one or two. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get back to him. Yeah, there's some guy that hit me up the other day. Cause I mean, I'll admit, sometimes I get turned off if they're like asking too many questions that, you know, they seem like they're being a little too pain in the assy, you know? But, you know, whatever. Like, it's not like I want to focus on that or like talk about that. Like, hey, let me just bitch about all the people that are pain in the ass. Because it's like, whatever, they're out there.
Of course.
But what I do focus on is the people that are not a pain in the ass and, you know, the people that buy my art and support me and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, you know, some people do waste your time and stuff, you know, so at any given moment, I might be caught up in 2 or 3 situations with people where I'm like in limbo. I'm like, is this guy really buying the art or what? He keeps saying he's going to send me the half and he doesn't, or, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that goes on. Yeah. You know, but, I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for sending in those questions every single week. Send in those questions. Renda, I gotta know, what are some of the main differences that you've noticed in selling your artwork in Miami, in New York, and, you know what I'm saying, in different places? Talk to us about the audience themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, I travel a lot, and I guess I travel for the purpose of learning about how we're all different and how we're all the same. Essentially, that's right. That's the final lesson of it all.
Right.
And, you know, so we are all different and all the same at the same time. So I guess you're asking about the differences, but, you know, I don't know. They're subtle. You know, like the approach is the same, though. It's always just me being me. It's always me just making my art, selling it, you know, letting people know who I am, what I do, being nice about it, showing them my art, showing them my Instagram, you know, and just keeping it real simple. I mean, I guess I noticed maybe like one thing that's more specific, like I think in New York, you can get a little bit more for your art, you know what I mean?
Is it more so the tourist market or the locals?
It's both, you know, and the locals, I mean, because people in New York are just used to paying more for things, period. You know what I mean? You know, you do learn a lot about how people are with money and, you know, and just, you can use yourself as an example. We all have like a relationship with money, you know, and I personally think that Money is something you shouldn't worry about ever. I don't know. I know that sounds like easier said than done, but I mean, if everything is mental, right? And if you create your reality, right? And you know, if that kind of stuff is true, and if your thoughts create your existence and stuff, then why would you have worrisome thoughts about money? Why would you want to have, you know, effed up views on money, on your lack of it? You know, all that's going to attract is more lack, right? So, anyways, I feel like I went on a tangent, but
that's all the show is, brother. Tangents. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but no, what was my point? Yeah, I don't know. I guess a tangent on money. But yeah.
No, I mean just being able to charge more in New York, different, you know.
Oh,
different
right.
locations.
That is what I was saying. Yeah. So you know, I think. I like to focus on the people that have no problem just plain buying the art, you know, like it's a little bit of a red flag when it's like, you know, something on Instagram or something, and I post a piece and someone says, hey, I like that piece you just posted. How much is it? And I say $20, and they're like, oh man, would you take 15? You know, or they say like, oh man, I get paid on Friday, you know, remind me. And it's like, what do you mean remind you? Now I got to hit you up.
I'm not in the damn alarm clock. What you mean?
You know, so, but again, but it's about learning where to focus your energy, like, you know, like how much does that kind of thing concern you, you know, because that kind of thing happens to me, yes, but and there was maybe a time in the past where that kind of thing would like irritate me, and I would vent about it and have conversations with friends about it. Yo, this guy messaged me today, right, and he wanted $15 for a $20 piece, you know, but you know, what I've learned in growing up and evolving and growing through this life as an artist is you really just kind of like ignore that and put your attention towards the person that's going to pay for it. No problem, you know? But I do think that's funny when it comes to like a small piece and, you know, people make such a big deal out of it. I'm like, bro, this is like a $20. Like, I'll spend that on lunch today, man.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You talking about $20, you know, like... It kind of blows me away, but that's one reason why in 2022 and over the last few years I've started focusing more on the bigger pieces, the $1,500, $2,000 pieces, the fine art pieces.
Right.
But I do like to do the whole spectrum. I like to make tiny pieces and sell them affordably, and I like to make big pieces and hang them in galleries and sell them for a lot. And I'm getting into NFTs, you know, like, so I'm trying to do it all. I'm trying to do it all. Every price point, every market, every size, every bracket, you know, like I want to have fun. I want to do this all, you know? And then if I'm in doing it all, I'll notice what I don't like and I'll do less of that, you know? And then I'll do more of what I do like. So, you know, that's why my focus is shifting.
There you go.
all the time. And that's natural. You know, I go with the flow.
100%.
If you look at my Instagram, sometimes it's nothing but love murals. And then sometimes it's nothing but art that's for sale and art, you know, and I'm treating it like a store.
Right.
And then it's sometimes nothing but pictures of rappers I met holding my hip hop tribute piece. So it's just, that's the flow, you know?
Talk to us about the first time that your work was put in a gallery. Talk to us about your first show. Were you nervous? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, that's good. I guess 2010 was the first time I ever really sold a piece of art. And 2010, you know, I sold my first piece of art in 2010 because it was on display in a bathroom at a hair salon. So at the time, I had a girlfriend that was a hairstylist. And so, like, she talked to her boss. This was when I first started making art. This was 2010, so I was still very much involved in being a poet and an event host and all that, like, you know, those aspects of my former life. I was doing all that, but I was getting my feet wet in making art.
Right.
So this was 2010. So I hung up some art in the bathroom at this hair salon in Delray Beach, and one piece sold. So that was cool.
Was that the first piece you ever sold?
Yeah. That was 2010. That was just a simple handwritten piece. It was like a long form poem, like on yellow paper with blue ink, you know, that style on my business card. But so that was 2010. And, you know, then I sold a little bit from there. And you know, it was just a learning process. I remember like one of the first times I sold something like on the internet and had to ship it to someone. And I like didn't have a clue like how to ship stuff. You know
I made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now I go to the post office like 2-3 times a week. I know where every post office is in Dade and Broward County. You know, like I'm just the master at mailing stuff. But I was like mad confused, and I ended up, shipping this art via FedEx. Like I didn't realize I could send it just via the United States Postal Service, you know,
way cheaper.
And I spent like so much money, and I was trying to get the girl to pay for it, but didn't realize I didn't communicate to her
the shipping costs.
Yeah, you know, and so I that's what I'm saying. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, you know, but you grow from that, right?
Damn.
But so yes, that was some early stuff. I mean, being nervous? No, I don't think I've ever really been nervous about like anything I do with my art.
Do you think that roots from your days as a host? I mean, when you're a host, you're literally taking up all the attention. You know what I'm saying? You're saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." So do you think that helped you out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't get that nervous because I guess that's what I enjoy. You know, that kind of stuff that might get some people nervous. I actually enjoy it, thrive on it. You know, it's like Leo energy. You know, not to get all astrological, but when you just said it's like, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," that's describing a Leo, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And that I am. But, you know, I mean, I'm not a superhuman. Yeah, I get nervous at times. There would be times when I got nervous a little bit before going on stage to do some poetry or whatever. But as far as like one of my art shows, like if I have now as a visual artist, if I have a show, I just plain look forward to it. You know, if it's like, I got a solo show this Friday, I can't wait. You know what I mean?
Hey.
I'm there and I'm ready and I'm like, what's up? Like, how much am I going to sell today? How many people am I going to meet? How many new opportunities are going to come out of this? You know, hopefully the answer to all of that is a lot.
Hell yeah. So even when you had your first big, commission, your gallery piece, $1,500, $2,000 piece, you weren't fazed by it at all?
I wouldn't say not fazed at all, but I try, okay, and try is the key word, but I try my best to just go through life not super fazed by much, positive or negative. It's that more low-key, like Buddhist, even and calm approach to life. It really is the best way to be, you know, if you think about it. And not that I'm trying to say, use the word best, but you know what I mean? Like that is a very good way to be, to not be swayed too much by the positive or the negative or the ups or the downs, just understanding that it's all life. You take it all in stride. Of course, you should appreciate your wins, but if that's something you planned on, then it's just the result happening. You know, like how amazed can you be by your own success if that's what you planned?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like if you're saying I set this goal and that goal and then I reached it, then it's from your perspective, it's not that amazing. You just did what you said you were going to do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you just followed through. You just reached a goal. It might look amazing to onlookers, and that's what's cool. That's the difference between you knowing yourself intimately versus how much the people out there know you. So they don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but you do. So you live your life in a way that you just call normal, and other people look at it like, wow, that's amazing. How do you do all that stuff? You know, like, when do you have time for all this and blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know, I'm just being me, but it's cool that you appreciate it. And so therefore I can make a career out of who I am,
Man, and that's the American dream right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Is, man.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm saying, we have three segments, and the second one is actually called the movie review of the week. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, we ask our illustrious guest for a suggestion, a recommendation. You know what I'm saying? Let's say we got 10,000 people and they're waiting on a brand new Renda gallery opening. You know what I'm saying? And they got like 2 hours to kill. What would you suggest them to watch? A movie on Netflix, a TV show, Hulu, whatever it is. What are you currently, maybe something you're binging right now, maybe something good that you just watched? Talk to us.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I got a great answer because I was just talking to this dude last night, man. Like, I do have some favorite shows. My favorite show is Real Life, though. Okay. So it's about the interplay between the two. But to really answer your question, there's a show on Netflix with Ricky Gervais. You know Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, it's Ricky Gervais, and it's called Life After. And
it sounds familiar.
It is so good. But all right, the show Life After, Ricky Gervais plays a guy named Tony, the star, the central figure. Tony had a wife named Lisa. She was sick and she died of cancer. And the show kind of starts like right after she dies. So it's focusing on Tony, Ricky Gervais, and his grieving, and his life after.
Okay.
After Lisa and, going forward. And so it just follows this central character who's Ricky Gervais, who's fucking hilarious all the time and everything he does So he's brilliant in this, and it's like a sad premise. It's like a drama, but it's totally a comedy because the writing is brilliant. His character is ridiculously brilliant, and he goes from being suicidal and like really effed up over his wife to like understanding compassion and opening up to other people and giving life a second chance and like growing and evolving. And it's just a brilliant show. And I have been binging it on Netflix, on my iPad, in my van, you know, just van life. But what's crazy is last night I went to hang out with a friend of mine who is a actor and screenwriter, and he was working on a script. And he's staying at this hotel where this guy is putting him up so he could just work on this script for him. So I went to go meet up with him and hang out. He flew out here from LA, and he had a friend that was also there to meet up. So this friend tells me that a year ago, his girlfriend committed suicide. Like he had a wife, I'm sorry. He had a wife. They were married for a few years. They had their occasional arguments, he says, stuff like that, blah, blah. He explained this weird downward spiral, and she got weird. And then one day he came home and she was hanging in the bathroom.
Oh, my God.
And he started showing me pictures of her. He's like, you want to see her? I'm like, okay. And he shows me pictures of her on Facebook. She just looks like a normal, pretty girl. Pictures of them. They look happy and all this. And so he said this was 1 year ago. So the last year of his life has been rough. So I recommended this show to him.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, bro, you got to watch this show. Like, it's what I'm watching now. And it's just like, I would recommend it to you anyway because it's just a good show.
Right.
But now that you just told me that whole story about your life, like, you need this show, bro. You need to see how a man deals with loss. You need to, you know, like a fictional man, but you need to see how this character deals and how he grows and how he evolves. Binge it, watch the full season, and you'll see him change. And I just think you'll love it. So that was last night. I told him that, and when he was leaving, I was like, bro, check out Life After Netflix. Don't forget, bro. So yeah, so there's your answer. Life After Netflix.
Life After. And out of 5 stars, how many would you give it?
Oh, I give it a 5, man.
Damn.
Yeah, I went through the day yesterday. Like, man, I can't wait to just finish my whole day and spark up the next episode of Life After. Yeah.
Hell yeah, bro.
But yeah.
Bro, damn. That sounds
I
like a good
the
one.
Wu-Tang series on Hulu too.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, as a, you know, I can't not mention that as such a music person, as such a hip hop person.
Right.
I just like good stuff, you know. I think for a while it was like really trendy to be like, I don't watch TV, you know, and stuff like that. But then like Netflix came along and stuff, and I guess Netflix is not technically TV, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I live out of my van, so I really don't have like typical TV time where I sit in a chair at night and watch TV, you know, religiously. But I think there's nothing wrong with like seeking out stuff that is entertaining or educational or whatever, and, you know, passing your time with that. But that's what I'm saying. This show is more than entertaining. It's like insightful, bro. It'll wake you up to your own like need for compassion, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, it's real
You
talk.
said Life After?
Yeah, Life After.
Life After on Netflix. You see it on the screen.
Yeah.
Thank you for that suggestion. Renda, when did you first start, I guess, branching out into other mediums? I see you rocking a phenomenal shirt of your very original. When did you start kind of, you know, doing other items, putting your artwork on different things? Talk to us about branching out.
Well, I'm always branching out, really. You know, I'm constantly looking for more opportunities to branch out. And to be honest, I feel like it's been a little while since I've fully branched out, like done something different, you know, something, a different permutation of my art. I've done t-shirts in the past. I've done stickers. I've done temporary tattoos that say,
shit.
Yeah, I got temporary tattoos that say your comfort zone will kill you. And, you know, your comfort zone will kill you is very much a main component of my bread and butter. You know, just like I said, a lot of people know me for the love murals. A lot of people know me for your comfort zone will kill you, which is my original statement. It's gotten so big that I think a lot of people don't like. I've met people that where I tell them, yeah, I'm the guy. Like that's my statement, and they don't even believe me. You know, and I'm like, no, they see. It's funny you don't believe me. That's how big it's gotten. Like, but yeah, those are my words. That's my original statement. But anyways, What was I saying there? Oh, so I've done stickers and I've done temporary tattoos that say your comfort zone will kill you. I've done books. I've self-published little books. I've done T-shirts. I've also
now, are
done,
these for sale? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I the temporary tattoos and the stickers I have right now in my van.
Okay.
So if you DM me on Instagram or whatever, I can always mail,
Awesome.
tattoos or stickers around the world, wherever. I'm also going to be at Wood Tavern this coming Sunday.
Dope.
From I think it's 2 to 7, I believe.
Okay.
But they're having their market, which they used to do religiously at their old location. Now they have the new location. They didn't do the market for a while, so it's the triumphant return of the Wood Market. I'll be there. It's going to be dope. It's going to be real dope. But I'll have the stickers. I'll have the temporary tattoos. I'm not really doing the T-shirts right now. I got to kind of re-up.
Okay.
But so those are some things that I branched out. I've done like some women's fashion. I've done some dresses. I've done some like one-offs, like individual, just one-of-one dresses and purses and handbags. And that stuff is always a hit. That's why I need to do more of it. I can only do so much, but there's a lot, when you talk about branching out, like that inspires me just to have a discussion about ways to branch out,
Right.
I want to do NFTs, big
Talk to
time.
us about that. And for the inexperienced or uneducated audience, which I mean, a lot of that, and I don't mean that in like a dickish way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of uneducated in NFTs. If you could give us, I guess, a NFTs for dummies, what would it be?
Well, yeah, I'm the dummy too. So, this is how I explain it to myself because I'm not an expert. I have not even really minted an NFT yet, but I'm working on it. And
Okay.
I'm slowly learning and I'm allowing myself to become inspired. Some of my friends that have sold NFTs and have made money, have made G's. I'm like, okay, you're making G's, then I got to pay attention. Like
Straight
that,
up.
I want to make G's. I want to make a few G's doing this. So NFT is like, it's almost like a baseball card in a way. If you could picture like a non-physical baseball card, so if I do a piece of art, whether I create a piece of digital art or I create a physical piece of art and just take a picture of it, then that picture I have taken of the physical art or that digital art, which was digital to begin with, that is minted, meaning that you certify it as an NFT. You mint it. It becomes the NFT, and you pay a fee to get it minted, and that fee is called a gas fee. Why it's called a gas fee, I don't really know. That's what I'm saying. I only have a basic understanding of this stuff. So since this is for dummies, I'm laying it out just one sentence at a time, some
Hell
basic
yeah.
stuff, But so then you mint your NFT and then you could sell it and it sells on the blockchain. And what is a blockchain? Someone else can explain that better than me.
100%,
But,
yeah.
and then so it's, then you're selling your NFT and then there's a lot of ways in which you can structure. There's a thing called a smart contract. So you create a smart contract that goes along with the NFT, which I guess states the terms of the sale of that NFT. So you could sell it like regular, like the way we always been selling stuff, like you just sell it to a buyer and that's it, end of transaction. Or you could do it more in this blockchain NFT way where you sell it to a person and then they can sell it and then that buyer could sell it and then that buyer could sell it and that buyer could sell it, and it's written in the smart contract that you are getting paid on all of those future transactions. You're getting residual income off that. So that is cool. That's attractive.
yeah.
That's
Of course.
got my attention. I'm interested in that. So I am, that's one of my things, you talking about branching out. That was kind of your question and that led to NFTs. But yeah, I always want to branch out, man. I always want to do new stuff, man. Like I want to do like a mural on a plane. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I want to do a mural on a cruise ship. And and that's not even that outlandish or like hard to imagine. Artists have done that. If you drive by the cruise ships, on your way to Miami Beach, you'll see a few of them done by Lebo.
Right.
Lebo inspires me. He's a Miami artist. He's very successful. He's very distinct. His style, people know Lebo and what his work looks like. And so he's done art on the side of a cruise ship. So, okay. I would also like to do that. But yeah, big things I want to do. I want to do a mural on a plane. I mean, I've done art on cars. I've done art on a crib. I've done art on skateboards. I did art on like a sushi boat. Like them little fancy boats that they serve sushi on. So I'm always looking for like unique opportunities to do different mediums and surfaces in the physical world, and then also more like mass producing of art on different mediums, T-shirts, masks. I did masks for a little while at the beginning of the pandemic. But stuff like that, dresses, unconventional stuff, tote bags, you know, whatever. I'm like always got my eyes and ears open to that. And that's what's kind of funny. This is something that actually does kind of irk me in a way when, like, you know, someone will tell me like, you know, oh man, you should do your art on tote bags. And then they'll be like, you know, like you should do that. And then they want to like take credit, like they gave me the idea, and it's like, you think I haven't thought about my art on tote bag? Like basically my art on anything,
right?
I have already thought of it,
right?
You know,
Right, right.
Because how long does it take to come up with a thought? In
Sure.
1 hour, I can sit back, think, and have thought of every possible. You know what I mean? So there's nothing you can't tell me. But if you're not going to help me to do it, then you don't like get some kind of credit. But anyways,
no, of course.
Even that, I'm not irked. I just smile and laugh about it. But it's a common thing. That's what I'm saying. That happens when, you know, people hang out with creatives. Sometimes they get inspired by the creative, and then they want to act like they're inspiring the creative. And it's like, hold up, you ain't really inspiring me. You're getting inspired by me. And then
100%.
trying to throw that back at me. You know what I mean?
Like, let me get a free tote bag. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, whatever. Nobody should get defensive or argumentative over the concept of inspiration, because the point is that it's to be shared, and it's supposed to be fluid and go both ways. And you inspire me, and I inspire you, and all that. You know, but yeah, you know, branching out, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why I went on 5 tangents, because I'm excited about that. The branching out. I always want to do more. You know, I always want to do more with my art. You know, I've made thousands and thousands of canvases, you know, and I'm not saying that gets old or boring, but it's like, okay, after doing thousands and thousands of canvases, you know, whether they're 8x10 or 5x7 or 20x20, you start to think, I would like to do a mural on a plane. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know. And I've done like, you know, murals in all different countries. Like I've done murals in 8 countries, and that's great, 8 countries. But I would like to do 10 or 12 or 15, you know? So
how does that feel when you're being flown out to another country for your artwork?
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that, I say it with every guest on here, whether it's a UFC fighter, whether it's an actor, whatever the case may be, the moment, at least for me personally, the moment that you accompany a person will fly you out to do your craft, I feel like, does that kind of feel like, holy shit, I kind of made it? Like,
yeah, it does. I mean, but if it feels really good, yes, it feels really good. It feels really great, and it feels like something to be grateful for. But to have the feeling of I made it, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you should ever really feel like you made it, because you should feel like you're going. You know, you should feel like you're always going forward, going up, going in the direction you need to, going in the right direction. You know, etc. However you want to describe it. So making it is kind of like a myth. You know what I mean? Like, what is making it?
Yeah.
You know, because in some ways I feel like I've already made it. Like I feel like an intelligent person can look at almost anything in 2 ways, you know, 2 completely opposite ways. And I think that's a mark of intelligence, to be able to look at something and say, I understand this point of view on that thing, and I also understand this completely opposite point of view on same said thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you can do that, that is, I just think, a mark of intelligence, or let's call it maturity, or whatever, or balance, let's say.
Right.
You know, I don't want to call it intelligence, because that implies that you're not intelligent if you're not doing that. But you're not balanced if you're not doing that. If you're not looking at all aspects of a thing, you know, and entertaining every side of the argument about said thing, then you're not being balanced. You know, so I like to try and be balanced as much as I can, and you know, here I am.
Did it take you a long time to kind of develop your ability to be able to use social media as a tool? And also, kind of a second part to that, how big was or how drastic was the change from the moment that you got that coveted blue check mark, and did your sales kind of skyrocket after that?
I mean, social media has always been a very integral part of what I do, and that's goes for whatever I do. So when I was just doing poetry, when I was hosting events, way before I did any visual art, I was a fiend on MySpace.
Oh, you know? Hell yeah, bro. Come on. That top 8, boy.
Yeah. And before that, you know, before the art, even before the poetry, before all that, when I was just in college, I was all over Napster, which is, you know, an early version of a social network, so to speak.
Right.
So I've always been kind of rooted in that, you know. But yes, once Instagram came along, you know, I got deeper, you know, and Instagram is definitely like my number one as far as like you know, where does my work come from? Where do my fans come from? Where does my energy come from? It's mainly Instagram. And then number 2 would be Facebook. But real life is very much up there too. You know, I'm very much a real life artist and a real life person, you know, like if you go to Wynwood, you will probably see me, you know, or, you know, or whatever. You know, if I'm in Florida, but I'm just saying I'm seeable. I'm a real person in real life. So that's always my first favorite, you know, social network. But Instagram has been good to me. Yeah, the blue check, you know, I've had the blue check since 16 or 17, I guess. So it's been a while. But the blue check is funny because everybody wants to talk about that. And I don't always, you know what I mean? Like, nothing wrong. Like, again, it's not a thing to be irked. It's more just, it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing because it is funny how many messages I get of people asking me how I got my blue check. Wow. You know, like I do get a lot of that. And some of it is just complete strangers. You know, I don't know who the hell they are. And they just right off rip go, hey, how'd you get the blue check? You know, so there's a whole variety of like types of messages I get. Then there's like, you know, people that I know in person and they're like, hey, brother, how's it going? Hey, I was wondering, how'd you get the blue check? You know, so that's the one thing. Like, it's not like when you get a blue check, you get flooded with the work. Actually, when you get the blue check, you get flooded with questions on how you got the blue check. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And so, and it does not irk me. And I don't suggest you get irked by that. You know, if that kind of thing is going to irk you, then don't try to get the blue check. I'm just warning you that that's what's going to happen. You will inevitably get, you know, lots of inquiries as to how you got the blue check. And I have no problem really telling people the truth or something like it. You know, it depends on who they are. Like, well, who are you? And you're asking, you know, like I don't necessarily owe you an answer at all if you're just literally a random person. But you know, if you're like my friend, I'll tell you what's up, you know.
But
But I got it back in 20, like I said, 16 maybe, and it was just different. Now you request, I don't know, it's different. And now people charge for it. Like you could, because I do have the blue check on my Instagram profile, Rendawriter. Now I also do all these murals that say world peace. So that's another whole topic that we can talk about for hours. But I do these murals that say world peace, and I've done 81 of them in 8 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Many of them are in America, but 8 countries altogether I've done. And so I have a separate page for that, World Peace Mural Tour. So I would like to get a blue check on that. Now in 2022, I'm kind of like everyone else. I'm kind of like, how do you get the blue check? How do you get the blue check? Even though I have one. But I have it on my other profile. I got it years ago when things were a little different. And I've inquired a little bit. And now like basically people just pay for blue checks. And it could be like 10 G's and up, bro. And what's weird, see now NFTs are popping. But before NFTs, I was just tripping on that. I'm like, dude, they're telling me like 10 G's. They're telling me like 15 G's for a fucking blue check. And I'm like, for a fucking inanimate object that's not even real, for basically an emoticon, a digital badge that is next to your name in this digital world. And I'm like, how ridiculous is that? But that's what I'm saying. I was thinking that like 2-3 years ago, how ridiculous is that? And now there's entire industries built on the ridiculousness of owning intangible. There's billionaires people are becoming, and I'm myself trying to get in that. Like I said, admittedly, I want to get rich off NFTs and selling intangible objects, you know? But for an artist, if you're doing it right, you're selling these intangible NFTs, but you're selling them in a way where they're reflective of your real world contributions as an artist. At least that is going to be my approach to it once I jump in fully, you know, and I'm going to, there's another like term, utility, when we were talking about NFTs and I was saying these buzzwords and these terms. Utility means like, what is the actual utility, the actual use you get out of this NFT? So you can attach things to it. Like there's a dude that's like a big NFT guy, Marcel Katz, who's here in Miami. And I like him. I follow him. He's like a big deal. He does a lot of big moves and he does a lot with the NFT world. But so when he attaches utility to something, it's like, okay, if you buy this NFT, you'll receive the NFT and I'll also fly you to Miami from wherever you are in America or the world, and you'll party with me for 2 nights and you'll stay with me and I'll take you to this restaurant. And he creates like a whole itinerary of things, and that's the utility. So you get that when you buy the NFT, you know? So That's kind of my plan. Like, when I enter the NFT world, I'm not gonna be flying people to party, but I'll give them some utility. Like you get the physical art or whatever, or I come to your house and do a mural at your house, because NFTs go for a lot of money. It's just skewed high.
Yeah.
Like, artists of my caliber, and I'm whatever caliber I am, I'm somewhere in the pecking order, but artists that are of my caliber and maybe a little higher and a little lower, I see them pricing their NFTs at like 3, 4, 5 grand, for little digital something.
Right.
Wow.
But
these little digital somethings might have taken a lot of work, hours, and that's important to emphasize. You could, it might take me 20 hours to work on a really big canvas if I go really detailed, right? But it could also take me 20 hours to do a little piece of digital art if I go into detail.
Oh,
and I put in the time. So, it's art.
It's art.
It's whatever. It's individual, whatever you think.
Individual. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have three segments, and the last one is actually the quest for the truth. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, I ask our illustrious guest a random, emphasis on the word random, question from this here deck of cards. Right. I don't know what it's going to be, but here we go.
Let's go.
All right.
This is the quest for the truth.
All right. You want me to just go off rip the first one I picked?
Yeah. I don't know. You're the boss.
There we go. Renda.
Yes.
What makes you feel guilty?
That's a good question, because the real answer is not much. I think guilt is such a stupid feeling.
Oh yeah.
It's so stupid, seriously.
It's like apologizing for being yourself.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a person should feel guilty if they do something morally reprehensible, of course, or commit some crazy crime, then that guilt is useful. But I do think guilt is overused, Too many people be feeling guilty for shit they should not feel guilty for. I don't know. I mean, I guess, but if I try and give you, that's my general feedback on the concept of feeling guilty. But if I'm honest, like, do I ever feel guilty? Yeah, I guess I do sometimes. And it's really just about maybe not working hard enough. It's that typical workaholic type mentality for where your guilt may come from. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you feel guilty that, a whole day went by and you didn't make any art or sell any art or do anything compelling or amazing for your art career. And all you did was take a nap and go to the beach and eat lunch and stuff. Sometimes at the end of the day, on a day like that, I might feel a little guilty, and maybe some of that guilt is useful because it might propel me and inspire me to make more use of the next day. But you see, it's only to an extent. I'm not trying to indulge in guilt big time, you know what I mean? Because I do know people like that, and I always try and talk them out of that. I like my parents, other people I know, lots of people are rooted in that kind of way of thinking. They constantly say this. They go, I feel bad. Right? They go, I feel bad. I just feel bad about that. I'm like, why? I have had this conversation recently with a friend of mine because I heard her saying that a lot. And I'm like, yo, do you hear how much you're saying I feel bad? Like, that's what you're telling yourself you feel bad. Why? Why?
Why are you putting that out there?
Yeah, you don't have to say I feel bad. Plus, usually when people, whether it's that particular person or just anyone, this general concept of this feeling bad thing, they're usually feeling bad over something they have no control over. They're usually feeling bad over something that maybe no one else is feeling bad over. There's just so many reasons why their feeling bad feeling is unfounded and unnecessary, and destructive and just not needed. A lot of times someone is feeling bad over what they think someone is thinking,
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to shift your vibration of focus, your vibration of energy to the feeling called bad. You're using the word bad. You're going to identify with the word bad because of what you think another person is thinking.
Right.
It's because of what is happening inside of the head of another person. Like, you don't even have access to that.
Right.
You can't get into another person's head. Only to an extent, like when they
Right.
say things, when they talk, they're
Right.
giving you a glimpse of what's happening in their head. But the stuff they're not saying is happening only in their head.
Right.
And in your head, you're imagining what might be happening in their head and then feeling bad.
How can you hit from out? How can you hit from outside of the club? You
So-
can't even get in. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah. The question was, what makes you feel guilty? And my answer is not a whole lot, not
yeah.
much.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
it's not a feeling I'm into indulging too much.
Good for you. My brother, first of all, can we please give it up for Rendawriter? My brother, first of all, thank you so much for dropping on by today.
Yeah.
What an episode of colossal proportions that it has been. Before we start wrapping up, I do have maybe two more questions that I want to wrap up with. You had briefly mentioned if there was one thing, getting irked and that sort of thing. I personally want to ask you, when you have scenarios like you had mentioned where someone will come up to you and will ask you, certain phrases that are already synonymous with the art world that you yourself have created, like your comfort zone will kill you. What do you feel when people don't believe that you're the originator of this?
I guess a mix of feelings, you know. Anything I feel is always going to be like just one feeling on a whole spectrum of feelings. So I always recognize that first, that whatever feeling I'm feeling right now is just fits in somewhere on a whole spectrum of feelings. And I'll ride through that spectrum in the next few minutes or hours or days or whatever, you know. But that kind of thing doesn't happen too much, but it has happened before. That's why I brought it up. But I feel like everything, like you ever heard the phrase like a teachable moment? You know, it's like sometimes something bad happens and then, someone will say like, well, that was a teachable moment, you know? And I try to look at a lot of things as a teachable moment. So it's kind of like, well, what did I learn from that? Like, okay, this person, seriously doesn't think that I came up with your comfort zone will kill you, you know? All right, so like, what can I learn from this situation where this person is thinking that? Like, okay, maybe it reminds me I should, get on my grind with trademarking and copywriting and all that kind of stuff, or, whatever it may be. But whatever situation, happens, there's always like a better way to look at it or a better way to approach it, But yeah, I don't know. Does that answer the question, I guess? But yeah, it's just, I'm just doing me. I try to not get like too irritated by things, period. But I'm a work in progress. And you know what's interesting? I'll throw this in here real quick. I'm 43 years old. And I just recently saw this girl that I follow on Instagram posted something like in her stories. And it was like this screenshot. And it said, at what age do men reach their spiritual maturity? And it was like that was being typed into the Google search bar. It was like a screenshot of that sentence being typed into the Google search bar. And then it was like the results coming down and the results said 43, like unanimously. It was like all these articles that say 43, that 43 is the average age that men reach their spiritual maturity, I guess, climax or apex or whatever, or that they reach spiritual maturity, period. But I am 40. I'm just bringing that up because I am 43. I did just read that like a week ago. It's been on my mind a lot. And I'm like keeping that in my back pocket as I proceed every day. And I guess that was kind of the kick I needed. That's the kind of thing that inspires me. Random things. I can't even predict where the next dose of inspiration will come from. But in this case, it just came from that, from just this idea, this notion. I don't know if it's a fact, if it's like true, but this idea that men reach their spiritual maturity at 43. Wow. And then correlating that with the fact that I am 43. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm learning, and I feel like, that's a teaching moment. And that's a part where I learn that essentially that like things like guilt or whatever, or like hate or whatever, all that negative stuff. It's like, right. Whatever.
Wow. And then the last question for the evening, Renda, I gotta ask, if there was one thing that you could tell a young, starry-eyed 2010 to 2013 Rendawriter, what would it be?
Oh man, I guess if you're a young, like aspiring artist now, you're starting in a kind of a different time than when I started. But one thing that's remained the same is just the art, you know? Like at the end of the day, it's you and the paintbrush, or you and the spray paint, or you and the marker, or whatever. People have been doing art since the dawn of time. Maybe lots of things have changed, yes, since the dawn of time, but when it comes to the art itself has stayed the same. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like the universal advice that I would give that transcends whatever time frame we're talking about, is just focus on your art. Do your art. Whatever is making you feel good, do it, and then do more of that. And when you notice more of a good feeling coming on, do more. You know what I mean? And it's like real common sense. It's real basic. If you feel good when you're sitting and you're drawing a flower, then boom, draw another flower and see if you start feeling gooder. You know, you start feeling more good, you know, because you just drew another flower, and then you know, whatever, you draw a cat next to the flower and you're like, ooh, yeah, I like, you know. And notice I'm saying what and like you, like this is before you put it on social media, and notice that people are commenting on the cat or the flower and liking or not liking the cat or the flower, you know. So focus on you, because that is an unending, like undying aspect of who you are. You are always you. Now, you know, my other piece of advice would be, yes, use social media. Use that, go all in on that.
Right.
But like first develop a foundation of who you are, and then, you know, introduce yourself to the world via social media. And of course, utilize it for what it's worth, because you could build an entire career off of what you're doing on social media. Like that's what I've done, you know. But that's what I'm saying. My career is a hybrid of what I do in the real world mixed with how I present it on social media. So that's what being an artist in 2022, I think, is all about. And if you're just coming up now, then get in the NFT world, learn that, and then come teach me. Inspire me, because I need to learn.
Hell yeah. Yes. That is phenomenal advice. Rendawriter, talk to us about social media. Where can the people follow your journey? Where can the people hit you up for a commission, for original piece? Talk to us about that.
Well, speaking of NFTs, I'm on OpenSea. So I do not have any NFTs uploaded there yet. I just have a basic profile, but I believe the way you find me is you can just type in my name in the OpenSea app, or like the URL, I believe, is rendawriter.opensea.io. So first and foremost, you know, in the NFT world, that's my intro.
There you go.
And stay tuned as I spend this year getting deeper into that world. But I started with an OpenSea account, Rendawriter. But now I'm also on Instagram. It's just plain Rendawriter, RENDAWRITER. And that's the platform I'm on, you know, all day. And that's the platform I'm on more than the others. And, you know, if you DM me, I'll answer you. And, you know, if you want a commission, it sounds like people do. I do special commissions, but I also sell my art. I have a lot of art on display at Guarapo on 36th Street, north side of Wynwood. I also have a bunch of art at a gallery in Wynwood called the Harold Golan Gallery, right near Panther Coffee. So, you know, I mentioned these real world things too. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all that. You can just Google me and find me all over the digital world.
Right.
But if you're in Miami, and, you know, this is a Miami podcast, then go to Guarapo and buy a smoothie and buy a juice and buy a wrap and support their business, you know, and then buy a piece of my art from off the wall.
100%,
you can just take it off the wall. You can pay me with Cash App, you know, so. Go to Wynwood, go to the Harold Golan Gallery, because it's a gallery in Wynwood. It's one of the last galleries. There are art galleries in Wynwood. There are not many, but there are. And the one in the middle of Wynwood has my art in it. So go there. To the Harold Golan Gallery. That's on Northwest 2nd Ave, you know, in 23rd Street. And then I also got some art at Mega Lit, which is like a gym, a fitness center.
Oh, cool.
On Northeast 2nd Ave in like the Edgewater area. That's, I believe, around 28th or so. And, you know, I got murals all over and stuff. But yeah, so follow me on Instagram. And that's where you'll find info about all the stuff in the world.
Hell yeah. You see all that good stuff on the screen. Please give him a follow. Let him know that we thanked you. You know what I'm saying? Renda, thank you so much for dropping on by today. We truly, truly appreciate it. Support the man. Go on his social media. Go in person. Check out the artwork. You know what I'm saying? There's so many few people that actually do things in person nowadays. Have that physical, tangible artwork. Please give him a follow. Check out his work. You will be glad that you did. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. I'm grateful that you had me on, man. I'm grateful that I made it out here, and
thank you so much.
Had a chance to have just a little conversation with
100%, 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, every Thursday at midnight, you know what it is. Holla.
Holla.
And it don't matter what the world thinks. You can say how you feel on midnight in Miami. it to the limit. It gets real with only one, and it was